This video is about the operation of out the front knives. So the one I bought was a Microtech made in America. It wasn't particularly expensive, but I bought it just to see how the mechanism worked inside. So a nice solid piece of gear. It has a thumb slider on top, and the blade comes out of the knife like so. It handles around 4.5 inches long, or 120 mil, and the blade's 3.5 inches, which is about 80 mil. The blade locks in place when fully extended and when it's in the fully retracted position. In the middle, between those two, it floats free. Probably the most attractive thing about it is the blade sits completely inside the handle when it's retracted, so that's very safe. What happens is the thumb slider on top tensions the spring inside, and then in the last couple of millimeters of its travel, it unlocks the blade, which causes it to either fly out or fly back in. So basically what happens is you've got a spring like this elastic band. You extend the tension on it by using the thumb, and then when it hits the unlocking bit, the blade comes out the front. It's really as simple as that. The clever bit is that it does it in both directions. It's held together by 6 little torque screws, by a torque screwdriver if you will, but a small instrument screwdriver will sit. So looking inside, there's the spring, and it can hook at either end of the blade. So if it's pushing it outwards, you tension it and that pushes the blade this way, and retracting is the opposite. If you look down at the bottom here, there's the latch. So that would lock the blade in whatever position it is, and then this sliding cam arrangement, as it passes the lock, pushes it downwards and allows the blade to slide out. So an elegant piece of machinery. Downside is just the fact that when it's collapsed, the hole is still open to allow dirt to go in. So at some point you are going to have to take it apart, and you are going to have to clean cotton fluff and bits of grit out of the mechanism. The ends of the spring, which operate on the blade itself, are different from one end to the other. So when you put it back together, just make sure the longer tang faces down at the rear and the shorter tang faces at the front. And that's the mystery exposed. Now it's all back together, you can see it in operation. So the thumb tensions the blade initially, and then when it releases, the blade's out. At that point, the blade is locked. Retracting the knife blade is exactly the same. Bring up tension, and when it gets to the end, it's now locked inside. So these knives are illegal in most countries, and I struggle to understand why. The blade is now safely inside the handle. To push on the thumb slider requires a fair amount of effort. Now, this is not something a child can do. So by the time they have sufficient strength in their thumb to operate the mechanism, they should know about sharp knives and how difficult it is to grow fingers again. It's positively locked while it's out, and it's particularly simple in operation. I guess the issue is that the fact that it flies out and scares people is would be the reason for making it illegal. But there it is. Got a ball pin on the end to break glass and a handy clip for your belt. But this isn't a sales pitch. This is about how it functions, and it functions really well.